In this video, we are going to create a occupancy load schedule for the usages in this area plan. So to do that, you're going to come to the View tab, and under the Schedules, if I go to the pull down, are Schedules and Quantities. And if I click on that, it'll bring up a dialog box, and I scroll down a little bit, you're going to get Area. And you're going to see it breaks it up into the different area schemes. So I want one for my occupancy load, which is this guy right here. And we're just going to schedule building components. You can name it something different if you want to, but you can always update that later. I'll just leave that. And then I'll click OK. And it's going to bring up what do I want in my schedule. So these are basically the column titles. So I do want the area, right? And I want the name. So I'll put the name over there. And then I'm going to go ahead and delete these guys because I actually added them earlier and recreate them for you. Okay. And so we'll start with the area and the name, and then we'll move on to the load factors. Okay. And let's go ahead and delete the ratio as well. Okay. And I'll click OK. And it's going to give me this little tiny occupancy load schedule. So I'm going to go ahead and set it up. So I'll go to sorting and grouping, and I'll sort by name, right? And then I'll go to formatting. And what I want to do in the formatting is go to the area and tell it to calculate the totals for the area. And click OK. And now I have to tell Revit to show the totals. I've told it to calculate it, but now I need to tell it to show it, and that's under sorting and grouping. So if I go to edit, I can say show the grand totals, right? And I'll just say title and totals, and total area, and then click OK. And so now it's giving me that readout. And if I go in here and I go to my fields again, I can move the name up. All right. So now what I need to do is I need to actually add a load factor calculation, right? So we need to know what the loads are going to be for each one of these different usages. So you can look these up in the whatever code is applicable to the project that you're working on. I'm just going to use the, I already looked them up. So I'm going to go to my plan occupancy right here. And I've already looked them up, and here are the load ratios for this guy. So the dining is 15 square foot per person, and then the queues are 7, and the kitchen and the bar service is 200. So I'm going to go back to the area schedule, and I'm just going to go to my fields, and I'm going to create a new parameter in here. So right here is a new parameter, and so what I'm going to call it, I'll just call it load factor. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. It's actually a number, right? But you could say it's an area because it's really one person per 7 square feet. So I'm going to go ahead and select area here. And you can tell it to group the parameter wherever you want. It's the little subheading over here where it groups it. I'll leave it under analysis results. And I'll click OK. And it's going to add that load factor, and I'll click OK. So you'll see it here. And so if the bar service is 200, right? And then the dining was 15, and the queue was 7, and the waiting was also 7, right? So now we've got those guys loaded in, and we can now create a calculated column that will take this and load it into that, right? And so I'll go back to my fields, and what I'm going to add now is a calculated column. So I'm going to click on this calculated parameter, and I'll name it load, and I'll come in, and it's going to be a number because we're going to take square footage and divide it into square footage, right? If this was just a number, we would have to divide the area by 1 square foot, right, to get it to work out to square feet. So you need to pay attention to what you're dividing into something. And by using the square footages, that kind of takes care of it and gets rid of it for us. So I'm going to go in and say this is going to be a number, right? And the formula is going to be, I'm going to click on this little dot, 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 the area divided by the load factor. Okay, and I'll click OK, and it'll put that in there. And now you're going to see the load factor come up. Now it's a little annoying because the number is in decimal, and if we actually did integer, it might round down or round up. We always kind of want it to round up, so you can actually go back to your fields, go to your load, and edit that, and put parentheses around it. And round up, and then click OK, and you'll see it'll round up to the next highest number. So that works, and now we're going to go ahead and calculate the load. So I'll go to formatting, and I'll go to load, and I'll tell it to calculate totals, and click OK. So now I'm getting my total load factor for that area. All right, so that's the area schedule. We'll come back and look at how to deal with the linear calculations, and then a little later on, start to clean it up and place it on a sheet.